Hello, my wonderful, beautiful brothers of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. I am the Dark Shadow Maverick, and welcome to part 1 of What If Izuku Was a Collector? And, man, the beginning of that intro hurt my jaw. You guys might be wondering, what the hell you mean by what if Izuku was a collector? Basically, what if he had a collector quirk? And what I mean by that? Well, we will see as the story unfolds. And just a little heads up, you guys, there will be heavy amounts of elements from the Mario and Luigi RPG games and the Sally.exe, like Eye of 3 and like Continued Nightmare, that whole shit. There will be elements of both the Mario and Luigi series and the Sally.exe, Eye of 3 and Sally.exe, Continued Nightmare, Nightmare Begins, all that other shit. Mainly those two elements, but also a little bit of a Gears of War aesthetic-ish. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I never really paid attention to Gears of War. Anyways. Basically, the whole thing about this is, well, both Izuku and Bakugo's families are at the Quirk Doctor. You know, Bakugo is the one who gets seen first, and they figure out about his quirk explosions. And whenever they figure out about Izuku's quirk, it can only be described as collector. And whenever, Inko wants to know what the hell, this collector shit is supposed to mean, it's basically, if Izuku can collect enough materials in a certain way, certain things will happen. The reaction of whatever happens will depend on what he collected and how he collected it, and other things that have to do with the collection process. And so the end result will vary depending on, several different things. Basically, he collects stuff, he uses the stuff to do a multitude of different things. It could be anything from making a hammer to making a chicken. Like making just a tool or actually breathing life into the world. Just like playing God. So he basically has Momo Yaoyorozu's quirk on steroids. Like God mod steroids. Because, like, with Momo's quirk, she had to, like, eat a lot, from what I understand. Was the catalyst for her quirk. But with Izuku, Izuku's quirk, it's kind of just built into him as, like, the quirk is kind of one with him to the point to where if there's any drawbacks, they don't see any. Like, if there's any drawbacks, well, get someone else to go looking because they can't see jack shit worth of drawbacks. And they're pretty good certified, quirk scientists, quirk doctors, looking at Izuku's quirk here. And they can't see any sort of type of drawback to his quirk. And Inko is just like the fact that basically Izuku can create pretty much anything. Like pretty much, like I said, Momo Yaoyorozu's quirk on steroids. Because, Momo can create all sorts of shit, but this, not only there's no drawback, or like catalyst, or both, not only are there none of that, but, like, none of that to be had so far, like, they're only just beginning to study Izuku's quirk. But it seems as if, like, the possibilities of stuff he can create are, like, go even farther than Momo's quirk. Because, like, Momo's quirk allows her to create stuff. Like, physical, like, stuff that you would use. But no. Basically, Izuku's quirk allows him to play God. Because he can, like, literally, like, I was not kidding whenever I said he can make a freaking chicken. Chicken hawk. I'm a chicken. So, yeah. Basically, God mod steroids is more like it. And, well, they're trying to find out a freaking name for this quirk. I mean, they can't call it creation because that's already been taken by Momo, and her quirk is clearly inferior to Izuku's in terms of the shit that he can pull out of his ass, basically. So he does need materials, like some sort of material. I mean, he doesn't need much. It depends on what he wants to do or what he wants to make, like on how much material he's going to need. But he can still do pretty much anything. Just depends on the material. That's literally the only limitation. And it's literally not a limitation because he can just, God mod it. And so, basically, while they're trying to think of a name, Izuku thinks that he should get to training his quirk right away and also training his body right away. Like, do something. He sees a small training dummy, and so he pulls a few, like, shadow boxing moves on the training dummy, and the training dummy knocks him back, and he has his hands out, behind him, and it creates an air mattress from the land on. And the only materials he needed were basically the dead skin of his fingernails Yes, he basically just sacrificed like the dead skin of his fingernails in order to create an air mattress to land on. Literally that little material, that little, in order to create an air mattress. And they're not even made out of the same thing. And there's air already in it. Yes, that is insane. I can probably already hear you in the comments section like, that is insane. I can tell, but you know, it's gonna be needed to be insane for the stuff that's gonna happen in the story to, you know, happen. Trust me. It may be freaky, but you know, it's here to be freaky deaky, you know? Whatever. Basically, whenever Bakugo and Izuku are comparing their quirks, he's already named his quirk Explosions. And, well, Izuku's like, you know, the name is still being decided on, and I think they came up with something, but they're still on the fence. Basically, you know, Asashi's there, and he's literally just like, so we don't have to like wait anymore. Just call it what it is. Freaking sandbox. Like literally a sandbox in a video game. Like a sandbox mode. You're literally able to do anything with like whatever you want, whenever you want. So that is literally what Izuku's quirk is called. It's a collector type quirk, like a quirk that you collect stuff and it allows you to do these things, but the way it works, the name it was given is Sandbox. Because that's basically how it works. Like a sandbox, like mode in a game. Like a sandbox mode. You can basically do anything with whatever you have, whenever you have it. And, you know, Bakugo's just thinking, shit, Izuku's quirk is so much cooler than mine. Like, literally, Bakugo's like, I have explosions, but he can do anything with anything whenever he wants. That is, like, ridiculously cool. So, Bakugo gets a little bit of low self-esteem, but not too much low self-esteem. He's still Bakugo. But, you know, he has considerable less self-esteem, you know. He's not as much of an asshole as what I'm trying to say. He's not as much of an asshole. He's still an asshole, but he's not as much of an asshole. And it's kind of died down, you know. It's kind of died down, you know that. And, well, Izuku's still doing the whole thing with, like, training both quirk and body, and even his mind. You know, learning about heroes, their strengths, their weaknesses, their powers in general, and even, like, superhero catchphrases, and, certain things about the certain hero. He has a total of 13 of these notebooks in general. He's working on his 13th notebook. And, well, Izuku is just, you know, doing his quirk training. Well, he's getting off of his mental training. Like, he was doing some physical training, then decided, like, he was already physically strong enough, so he was going to do some mental training. And then, he decided that, he was going to train his Quirk. So he was going to try to train his Quirk some. You guys might be wondering, like, well, if it's like a sandbox type thing, then why would he need to train it? Well, I mean, certain age, certain restrictions, even with a sandbox type Quirk. Like, only what his tiny little body, like, tiny little 5-year-old body could put out. Like, only what his tiny little 5-year-old body can do. That stuff. So, he has to expand his horizons in, like, each field in order to be, the best he can be. And, well, things are pretty smooth sailing. Pretty smooth sailing. Not much tension in between him and Bakugo. Izuku and Bakugo. Actually, they're pretty good friends and rivals. Both friends and rivals. And there's not much animosity, not much of that vicious animosity. And the whole superiority complex kind of died down a little bit too. Well, it comes to the 10 months of training, because pretty much the Sludgeville incident doesn't really happen, because, well, Izuku can make shoes that can make him run really fast so that he doesn't have to, go through the tunnel. Like, if he doesn't want to, he can just make shoes that make him run really fast. And wear them. And that's pretty much what he would do, because he didn't want to go through the tunnel. And so, All Might will just catch the sludge villain. And if you're wondering if the sludge villain would fall out of the bottle, well, none of that shit with, Izuku. None of that happens, so no. So, All Might will just be able to do the job, good, secure, and everything. And, Izuku wouldn't need to do any of that shit that he did in canon, because he has a quirk, and not only does he have a quirk, he has a OP as hell quirk. And, well, basically, some crazy shiz is gonna happen over the 10 months. Because at the start of the 10 months, Inko gets a call, and it just so happens to be from the police department. It's Namasa. Namasa is actually saying that we are sorry for your loss, because the police department and several heroes actually do know about this whole, exchange in between two, they know about the relationship in between the Midoriyas and the Bakugos. They know about the relationship in between the two families. And, well, basically, Namasa is saying with a very heavy heart, basically, they don't know what the hell happened, but somebody smoked the Bakugo household. And all 3 members of the Bakugo household were in there whenever this happened. And the household, the entire thing just got smoked. Into oblivion, like Exodia Obliterate style. Just got smoked. The only one who had any sort of luck in terms of survival was Bakugo, but he was put in intensive care because of what happened. Like, he is literally on freaking life support because of what the hell just freaking happened. They don't even know what happened, but whatever happened, like, it killed Bakugo's parents, and it put him in freaking life support. Basically, his parents are dead, the entire house is crisp, as freaking crisp can get, and Bakugo's on life support. So, yeah, whenever news of this gets to Inko and Hasashi and Izuku even, well, of course, Inko having, Mitsuki be like a childhood friend of hers is going to be freaking mortified and just freaking distraught as all hell. And, well, Hisashi is going to feel for Inko in this trying time of, like, major depression because she just lost a childhood friend. And it just came out of nowhere. Like RKO out of nowhere. And Izuku, like, his reaction to all this, well, he is glad that Bakugo's still alive. Everything else, Izuku doesn't know how to react. This actually puzzles, Hisashi. Like, shouldn't he know how to react? Like, I know he's, just a teenager, but shouldn't he know how to react, like, emotionally to things like this? And Anko's like, it's probably just a lot of things, like, heavy-hearted onto him. Like he's probably just dealing with a lot and going through a lot, and he doesn't want to show it. And while keeping it all locked away inside of his head won't exactly help him, it's not exactly like I want to force him to say everything. That's not exactly good parenting, in case you haven't noticed, Hasashi. And Hasashi's like, you're right. Izuku is probably going through a lot. And Izuku is just like, he doesn't know how to think or what to think. He's just completely just at a loss for any type of thought process. It's almost like just slurped all of the thought process out of his brain. Just slurped it all away. And, well, who is the one responsible for the Bakugo household being smoked to hell and back? Well, let's just say that in, the coming years that Izuku and Bakugo were friends, they also became friends with, two of what would be considered the rich, stuck-up rich kids, the son of the number 2 hero, And, well, basically the daughter, of the Yorozu, family. So it would be, natural that people would think that way. Like, son of the number 2 hero, Endeavor, and basically a child of the Yorozu family. And they're freaking loaded. The Yorozus are. So it would only be natural that you would actually have that thinking process. And basically, Izuku, likes Momo and, wanted, Kachan to, go and see if they could be friends. Him and Momo. And, well, it turns out they hit it off pretty well. And, well, so well that it actually kind of makes Bakugo blush. And Izuku was already blushing, and so now they're both kind of hating each other for putting them in this situation. And Momo's like, oh, I have someone that you might want to meet. And his name is Shoto Todoroki. Like, he doesn't talk much to most people, but I can at least, solicit a hello out of him. I can at least solicit a hello out of him. So I think I may be able to get us to all four be friends. And so Momo trying some pretty ballsy shit, trying to get Shoto to be friends. And, well, it does turn out that the more and more the four of them hang out, the more and more Shoto's defensive walls, start to melt down. And he's even able to, once Bakugo is finally starting to look on the up and up, whenever it, turns to, his medical issues, because, he was put in intensive care. Considering the actual color of the fire, Namasa actually says that the report says that the color of the fire was not normal, like the normal fire color. And it was very, very, very powerful. Like, a lot more powerful than normal flames. And, well, Shoto basically tells them that he knows that that's probably a certain someone, but the thing is, they should be dead. Like, not only are they related to this certain someone, but this certain someone should be dead. So, Shoto does not know how that is even possible, because the person that uses these type of blue superpowered flames, first of all, the actual name of the quirk is called cremation flames, and it was his brother Toya Todoroki's quirk, and it was so powerful that it supposedly got him killed in a house fire incident. And, hearing about these blue flames that apparently engulf the super speedy, engulfed, at super fast, Speedy Gonzales speeds, engulfed the entire Bakugo household into nothing, basically. He's surprised that Bakugo even managed to survive. And he's just how much How angry can your friend get? Because you said his quirk is explosions, and, well, my brother, and if he hears, you know, like, right, Izuku? Like, Shoto is legit like, crap. If this Bakugo kid hears about what actually probably happened, this is not gonna be good. Yes, pretty much confirmed that Toya Todoroki, because of the quirk being cremation flames, and, it being blue fire the night of what happened to the Bakugo household, it being pretty much incinerated to nothing, with only Bakugo being the lone survivor of his family. Well, whenever Bakugo does regain his consciousness and is able to move around, basically, Momo is the one who decides to save both Shoto and Izuku's ass by being the one to stop Izuku from breaking the ice and do it herself. Like, literally, she breaks the ice because she wanted to make it to where Izuku and Shoto did not get killed. Because even she knows about Bakugo's fiery temper. And, well, whenever Bakugo hears about the fact that this guy who is apparently the brother, the other brother, because, Shoto has more than one brother. He also has Natsuo as a brother, and I believe Natsuo had an ice quirk. Nice, basically, the other brother of Shoto Todoroki, who was believed to be dead, is apparently still alive because it's apparently only those type of flames. It could only be that type of quirk, and the only person with that type of quirk is Toya Todoroki. He is the only one with cremation flames. And so the only person it could have been is Toya Todoroki. And, Shoto is expected to, be threatened to be murdered or something. But Bakugo actually, due to Izuku's influence on him and even Momo's influence on him in the later stages of their friendship, is more mellowed out, but you can also see behind his more mellowed outness some a lot of pain, going through. And Shoto's like, shit, I feel terrible. And, Bakugo would be like, don't. It's not you who was the one who did that. It's your brother. You hate your father? I hate your brother. It's that simple. Yes, now Bakugo has someone he hates in this story. He hates Toya Todoroki because he now knows, and definitely knows, that it was Toya who could have been the only one to do that. And lo and behold, it is. Because All For One willed it, Toya got out there and burn, baby, burn all of Bakugo's, the Bakugo household. However, what Toya didn't notice is that Bakugo was still alive. Because, Toya didn't want to stay around for too long because he didn't want to get noticed. And so, because of that, Bakugo was pretty much spared. Bakugo is alive because of the fact that Toya didn't stay around. He didn't stick around, and because of that, Bakugo lives. And, well, Bakugo just has this ever-flowing hatred for, Toya now. However, whenever Shoto tells him basically, everything about his father, like the ongoing hatred for Toya spreads for ongoing hatred for both Toya and Endeavor. Because he's still never going to forgive Toya about what he did, but now he hates Endeavor as well. And the whole, thing with Shoto's eye and that thing, with his mother, Ray, Shoto doesn't feel any of that hate or resentment. So, yeah, there's no bad news bears with that. It's just there. And as everything would be through the 10 months of training, basically that would be how it started out. And so Bakugo would be like, I missed out on a lot of time I could have been using to train. And not only that, but my freaking parents are dead. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And Izuku's like, well, I kind of might be going behind my parents' back on this one, but, Mitsuki is a friend, so this shouldn't be too bad. Basically, he was like, you can stay, our house. Take full responsibility for whatever happens. And Bakugo's just like, wow, thanks, Izuku, but as much as I like, all the act of kindness and shit that you're doing here, I kinda can't. As much as I want to do the whole UA thing, now that I know son of a who did that to my family, never again. Izuku, I hope you can understand. The next time you see me, it will be as a vigilante. Taking down crime behind the scenes. And, Izuku's like, I understand, Bakugo. I understand completely. And Shoto's just like, shit. Man, I feel terrible now. And Momo's like, there's no, time to feel terrible if we want to, be heroes. And, actually pass the exam. And, Momo's just like, yeah, we still have, like, the months of training for the whole hero exam. And so they do that, fully knowing that Bakugo now plans to no longer go the path of the hero, but the path of the unsung hero, the vigilante. And his vigilante name? Ground Zero. And, well, basically, the whole this and everything else, like the next rest of the 10 months. Basically, now it's finally time for, everything. The start of the UA entrance exam. Ida's gonna try to do his fussing about the whole zero corners and, President Mike being off. And, basically, Izuku's just like, do you ever shut up? And Ida would be like, excuse me? Excuse you? And Izuku's just like, you heard me, you piece of shit. And Ida's like, do you really condone this behavior? Because if you do, it just shows that you ain't. And then, Izuku would just be like, okay, gotta freaking fold your ass. And, he would just flip Ida upside down and then slam him like Alabama Slammer style into his freaking seat. And just be like, yeah, just shut your mouth and the rest should be fine. He was about to explain the zero pointer anyways. If you just kept your mouth shut. Stupid. Whatever the frick your name is, Four Eyes. So yeah, as we can all clearly see, Izuku isn't gonna take anybody's shit. Like, the experience of everything that had went on, like the start of the 10 months, that whole thing hardened him. And it gave him a, no F's given type personality. And, well, basically, whenever Ida's about to go up there, whenever they're at the gate, and be like, you should not interrupt this person who is going to take the test, blah, 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 blah. And Izuku would just look at him and be like, really, dude? Really? We're gonna do this? Okay, fine, I gotta fold you again. And he would just do the same thing, only it would be through a table this time. It'd be like, as God is my witness, he is broken in half. And, whenever the gates were finally open, and Izuku would just speed through with his speedy shoes, and, Momo would go through. Like, Izuku already knows that he pretty much tied with Momo on the written exam. If not, he got really freaking close. And, well, Shoto is, doing his own thing and his own part of the thing. And, well, as, like, they are racking up points like mad lads, like, just going like absolute mad lad on all these freaking robots, then, you know, the Zero Pointer would come up out of nowhere, and Momo, not having enough food, would literally not be able to use her quirk, and so she would scream in terror, and Izuku, remembering, you know, the words that were used to describe the scene, you know, the scorched Bakugo residence, the fact that Mitsuki and, like, the name of Bakugo's dad, you know, were dead, and Bakugo was put in intensive care as the only survivor of that incident, which wasn't really an incident at all. They were pretty much were able to deduce that it was Toya. And so this would actually get, you know, Shoto to try a lot harder than he did in the original to actually pass and become a hero. Because now he knows that Toya is about. Not only that, but he, like, scorched the hell out of one of his friends' like, places. And, like, all of the terrible feeling, like, ripped them away from their dream of being a hero. And, you know, turned them to a life of vigilantism. And so, like, if Shoto ever meets, you know, this certain friend, you might have to turn him in. And that's not something Shoto wants to think about, so it's just been giving him extra incentive to want to train even harder. And now he doesn't even care anymore. He's going to, whichever side provides the better results, will be the side that'll use more. Because he's, like, the daddy issues have gone out the window as soon as he figured out Toya must be alive. The daddy issues just went out the window. And now he's just using whatever side provides the better results. And, well, that's Shoto's thing. But with the whole thing with Momo about to get, you know, swamped on by a Zero Pointer, and, well, basically, Izuku is just like, just sees the Zero Pointer. He just sees it. He's like, he just looks at the damn thing and is automatically pissed. And he just creates a spear of light energy. And by spear, I mean like a spear, like a Lonsdale Impago of light energy. And he just chucks that shit right through the Zero Pointer. And literally, before the spear can, like, explode or anything, he, like, appears above the Zero Pointer and then dashes down while spinning and just 360 no-scopes his way through the Zero Pointer all the way to the point where he gets the spear, and then he slashes through the rest of it and into pieces, and then just does a sign, and it's like, shh, and just like a freaking light haze is like everywhere, and then he's like, and then he's just like, and it creates a giant explosion that erupts and just like obliterates, like Exodia obliterates the Zero Pointer into nothing. However, none of like the light attack, like none of the attack, like actually hurts Momo. Like a Momo uses, like, basically she realizes that the attack actually hit her, but it didn't hurt her. And that's because over the 10 years of training, that basically the rest of the 10 years of training that they had left after everything that they figured out, basically learned, like, Izuku had learned how to perfectly control, like, the shit that he creates. Like, if he creates something, he has perfect control over it. Unless he wants to give it, like, free will. And so he basically had perfect control, even making it so that the attack didn't actually hurt Momo, because Momo wasn't the intended target of the attack. And not even the explosion hurt Momo. She was perfectly fine. And Izuku was just like, and that's how you kill a worthless thought of a toaster oven machine. And Netsu in the observatory actually heard that and was like, worthless thought version of a toaster oven machine? He's like actually hurt by that, because, the robots are designed, by him because he's supposed to be the smartest guy. So, calling is the Zero Pointer that, is kind of hurtful. But Izuku doesn't really care because, Momo was threatened, and so he basically just completely just uber nuked the Zero Pointer out of existence. Just uber nuked it out of existence. All for Momo. And he's even like, if you want, to walk home, if you want to get walked home, we can always do that. Like, come on. You know by where it is, you can just tell me the directions, and I will walk you home. Simple as that. That is, unless you already have an Uber driver, like some sort of limousine and shit. And Momo's like, Izuku, you already know that that's the case. And Izuku's just like, for the love of God, I can't get a freaking break with this woman. But I still love her so much. And he's just like, oh, shit. Like, he literally just admitted that he had affection for Momo. That he loved the Momo. And, well, that's how it goes about. But, well, after that happens, basically, Izuku goes through the motions of going back to school, like, basically going back from school, and, heading home. Whenever all of a sudden he sees that his home has pretty much been defiled in, like, the highest degree, like, ransacked the hell out of. somebody just drove a bulldozer through here, like, and no regrets. And, well, Izuku, seeing this, he's like, God, oh God, Mom! And he's racing over there and he's trying to find Inko, because Inko's his mother. He's trying to find her, like, and his father. And, well, this whole entire attack was escorted out by a certain someone. Seemed to have hands all over his body, and Izuku is just like, you, what did you know? And he sees that one of this person's hands, he has the head of his father, Hisashi Midoriya. And, well, basically, there's a whole mess of organs and, like, what's left of bones and shit that he's holding in his other hand. And from several things, like what's left of green hair, like strands of green hair, and seems to be left of green eyes, and they're simple, like a certain person's clothes. You can tell this person that has done this, they have some sort of decay quirk. And the thing they're holding right now, you killed my mother. And Shigaraki just drops the pile of whatever he was decaying, which was indeed Enko. And Shigaraki's just like, I figured it out. Finally figured it out. Izuku Midoriya. You know who I am? Izuku's like, what's fixing it not gonna matter, because I'm going to destroy you. And Shigaraki's just like, Shigaraki Tamada. Tamada Shigaraki. And he just swerves and, like, completely, like, blindsides Izuku and just kicks the shit out of him. And at the end of this, like, Izuku's just spurting out blood. And the person is just like, you see this? And what he's holding in his hand is a little tape. And he presses the button on the tape. Basically what it says is, if you're listening to this right now, Izuku, I am alive and am in the custody of a certain hero killer. And Izuku knew who the hero killer was. And Shigaraki's just like, and before you say anything, not in cahoots with the guy. The reason I have the tape is to inform you of the current state of your mother. The little thing I was decaying in here in my hand was a literal look-alike dummy. Straight down to the hair and eyes. Everything fake. But just looking real enough for it to fool you. People can be so stupid whenever they're driven to anger through loss. And Izuku would just be like, so, the hero killer is my mother. And Shigaraki's just like, yep. And basically, Izuku's like, but you still killed my father. And Shigaraki's like, kid, do you really think that guy is your father? Like, don't get me wrong, Inko is your mother, but that guy, Hisashi, he only took Midoriya as a little bit of something. You know, if he took it, he would get a reward. Too bad he wasn't alive long enough to get that reward. The reward was going to be an extension to his already powerful enough fire quirk from Lord All for One himself. You see, your father, he was never actually your blood father. However, Inko, she is indeed your blood mother. And, Izuku's like, how do you know this? How do I know you're not lying to me? And, Shigaraki would be like, well, answer. Actually, no, I have a better idea. Ask me a question of anything that only your real father would know of you. Something that your father could never quite get. Let's see what happens. Or rather, hear what happens. And, Izuku's starting to get what, Shigaraki's throwing down. And he's like, well, considering certain things and my relationship, my father towards my relationship with heroes, my opinions of them, at least. Who's my favorite and he just gets stopped. All Might, also known as Toshinori Yagi. And Izuku's just like, what the hell? You got it whenever he could never get it. He would always guess some random hero name like he was uninterested or something. And, Shigaraki's like, oh no, it's worse. He actually did not know who your favorite hero was. No matter how many times you preached his name to the sky. You could never tell. So ignorant and self-centered. You actually found him to be your father. How ridiculous. And Izuku's just like, then how do you know? You've been spying on me or something? Wait, Toya Todoroki, a member of your posse of some sort? And Shigaraki would be like, ah, now, kid. It's not just any simple posse. We're the League. The League of Villains. And yes, Toya, under the villain alias Dabi, is a part of our group. I don't know what you're gonna do after this, kid, but hopefully it doesn't get you killed. And Izuku is just like, wait, why do you care about if I survive? And Shigaraki's just like, kid, you already know way too much for comfort. If I tell you anything more, it would ruin pretty much a lot of shit that Lord Alphorn doesn't want ruined. Now, arrivederci. And then, Kirigiri would just like send up a smoke cloud, like he would just be in the bar and he would be keeping tabs on Shigaraki while he was talking with Izuku, and he would just summon up a big smoke portal after Shigaraki said arrivederci. Like it's like bon voyage and arrivederci. And it's just like and Izuku's like, well, that wasn't his quirk. Someone else was keeping tabs on all of this. Everything he must have been saying. They know whoever was helping him. My head hurts. Can't believe all this time I believed that guy was my father. But then who is my father? I don't understand. And mother, hero killer guy. Better not do anything to her. So kill him, regardless of what the Hero Society says. What? What did I just say? My head is hurting again. Wait, there's something on the ground. A note. This from him. This note is from him. If you have the feeling I think you're going to have, it means your destiny is bound to change. Who you are is something completely different from what your society wants you to be. Well, if that's actually believed to be true at all, then what am I supposed to be? Am I just who my quirk says I am? If that's true, then what really is a collector? I need a way to get all of this filtered through my head or something. Find a way to recuperate from all this craziness. And find somewhere to, hang until I can get my own place. I have to find somebody. that, or I do some sort of soul searching. But instead of soul searching, it would be land searching. Well, there is always that one abandoned warehouse. It could use with some spiffing up, but to be alone through all of that, I couldn't see myself going alone for much long. Well then, I'll just have to change my address to the warehouse and, well, find a way to fix my problem with my well, basically, change my whole thing to where the warehouse is. And, well, I don't want to drag Momo and Shoto into this. And wherever Bakugo is, I'm sure he has the law and the Hero Society on his tail. I don't want to give him any more trouble. Technically, I'm going out of my own just to do this. And again, it would be a nice change of pace, I guess. I guess it would be a nice change of pace after all. Well, now, elements of sandbox. And whenever Izuku said this, out from both of his arms came two beings. Strange in appearance, but they were strong and they seemed to have quite the loyalty to Izuku. After all, he was the one who created them, and they seemed to like him very much. Even to the point of calling him their king. Their creator. And, well, Izuku wouldn't want to make this look like some sort of slave thing, some sort of act of slavery. So he would work on finding them names. There would be two of them. One he would call Saber. The other he would call GB. Saber and GB would be very helpful with the task that Izuku had at hand. Make this old abandoned warehouse into something not just livable, but quite luxurious. I mean, it wasn't just going to be him who was going to be living in it. He wanted GB and Saber to feel welcome too. I mean, after all, they were his creations, and he didn't want to just cast them aside, be so cruel as to do something like that. And, well, eventually he would hear a knock on the door, and, well, since Saber was doing some major handiwork, GB saw this, and seeing his work that he was in the middle of doing wasn't nearly as, well, quite the abstract challenge, he decided he would be the one to get the door, seeing as their leader was upstairs taking a, well, well-deserved nap, depending on who you ask. It seems it took a lot of energy out of him to create the beings. In Izuku's dream, he heard them being called demons. GB and Saber, both demons. However, it didn't seem to bother them whenever they were told about this part of his dream, to where he couldn't really remember anything else. Saber and GB really didn't care about being associated with demonic anything, just as long as their leader and creator was pretty much, smooth sailing himself. They were truly loyal and nice creations in that regard. And GB even mentioned something that Saber went on to agree with, that they would pretty much fight for him, to the death, if need be. If someone ever tried to, threaten him or his humble abode, that they work so hard to, make it the way that they're going to make it. And, well, Izuku couldn't only, hope but to smile at the family that he acquired for himself. GB and Saber were truly swell beings to be around. And the only thing that seemed to worry Izuku is, wondering if GB and Saber would like Shoto and Momo. And so he would basically, from time to time talk about Momo and Shoto to GB and Saber. And to Izuku's slight surprise, GB and Saber seemed to really like the idea of meeting these people. And eventually, whenever GB answered the door, it was indeed Momo, with Shoto in tow. Shoto in tow. Momo was interested in what the hell was going on with turning this warehouse into some sort of what looked to be like luxurious mansion. And, well, she was also very curious onto what the hell she was looking at. And Saber would actually get offended for GB, because GB didn't really seem to care about what was just said to him by Momo. And Saber would actually get so offended that he would almost go for a killing blow on Momo's, neck or head. Either one. And then Shoto would actually try to go for a parrying blow on Saber's attacks. But Izuku would rush down there and basically block both of their physical moves. However, the arm that blocked Saber's physical attack actually was feeling a lot worse than the one that blocked Shoto's. And whenever Shoto realized that, Shoto was wondering, are you trying to... And Saber is just like, we would never hurt Leader. And GB is like, if you think that, then you're crazy. And Izuku would just be like, it's fine. I can always have like the healing gel, the healing ointment. And that's whenever GB and Saber would remember their master's quirk, and that it can basically create anything. And, well, Shoto and, basically, after the whole situation cooled down, Momo and Shoto getting introduced to GB and Saber. And Momo and Shoto would both want to know what GB stood for. And Izuku's like, this is a secret. Stands for good boy. Because, in between the two of them, like, I get Saber as, like, really overprotective and shit, but, whenever I look at GB, I just think literal cinnamon roll salt of the earth. And, just cinnamon roll salt of the earth good boy. And so, I named him GB, for basically the abbreviation for good boy. And, well, Momo and Shoto, they would just be like, oh, okay. So do you have, like, any more plans on any others? Like, are there any others around that we need to know about? Because of what happened whenever, this guy, you called him Saber, basically clashed with Shoto. And Izuku's like, oh yeah, that Shoto, that would have broken your arm if you got hit with that. Literally. You trying to block it like that, your arm would have been broken in 6 different places. And like Shoto's like, wait, what the frick? How strong are you trying to make these guys? And, Izuku's just like, oh, like, how strong? Well, that's Inca's, expunged in like, information. Just, their strength alone is very protected information on just how strong either one of them is. So, yes, indeed. So, yes, well, that's all good and done with. How are the final additions coming along? And GB would just be like, oh yeah, that's what me and Saber were working on whenever we got that alert at the door. And Izuku's like, oh, well, I can just whip it up in a jiffy. And there's really like, all done. The house is completely done now. And, well, like, Izuku would give the okay that for Momo and Shoto to explore the house. And they would just be like, holy shit! Like, this is, oh, hot daggity damn! Son, this is, okay. And, Izuku would be like, yeah. So, yeah, there we go. In fact, I'm gonna say how long's the Thomas is, because the dark shit matters. So it's out of here. Of course, like, favorite, subscribe, and click that little bell and something in the comment section. And yeet, 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 all the yeet. Bounce, bounce, bounce like it's Quidditch, 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 Quidditch. And drop the bait.